Yo, what up guys, Travic here. Today I want to talk about the next crazy build that I have been playing. As a lot of you may know, recently I was playing Eviscerate and an Elementalist, and well, I wanted to make something a little bit more proactive, so I started doing some digging and some research, and we came across Shattershard. Now, if you don't know what Shattershard is, well, it is the most kind of like unique auto bomber, bomby kind of explosion, Herald stacking, Golem stacking, crazy shenanigans that you would expect Path of Exile to be. Now, if you've never seen what this looks like, let's take a look at what it looks like, and then we'll tell you how it evolved, where it came from, and all the ins and outs of it. Now, to save time, I'm not going to do the Wildwood, but you can see this map is literally hold shield charge and blow up the entire map. Click the strong boxes, watch monsters literally explode on your screen as you move at the speed of light around the map. Now, it's kind of like an auto bomber, kind of not like an auto bomber in the sense that you actually have to like press a button, and that button being shield charge, where I guess this traditional auto bomber is just like immediately start the loop and don't have to worry. This requires you to like actually hit the mobs. Now, this is going to be your typical headhunter build where like the more mobs you kill and the more rares you kill, the more juicy it's going to get, the bigger your explosions are going to get, and the easier your maps become. And now if you look, this is like an 8 modded tier 16 map. Like, it's not like no chump change map. This is, ooh, a divine. This is a pretty big map. Gotta love ground loot, boys. Gotta love that ground loot. And like you see, this is minus max res, monster damage, you know, main, fizz is extra, wither. You know, this is the whole shebang, and we just went into this map and just completely obliterated everything. Now, there's going to be a boss, there's going to be boss damage, and a lot of you guys are going to ask me about boss damage and how that works. So we'll get to the boss in a second and we'll take a look at it. But this build, like you just see, you could just stand here and just completely and utterly annihilate everything in front of you. You can even start the league mechanic, kind of like putter off for a little bit, come back, blow up the league mechanic, run over there, go blow stuff up over there, come back, go to the league mechanic, go over there, click some boxes over here, blows things up over there, go look at things over there, go blow more boxes up over there, come back over here, click boxes over there, and you just, you know, you zip all around the map, no problem, easy peasy. Kill up things over there, go stabilize the breach got stabilized, you didn't even see it get stabilized, boom, some more maps, get, you know, don't stand in explosions because we don't want to stand in explosions. And we're going to take a look at boss damage. Now, this boss, obviously with 45 headhunter stacks, would be a joke, so we're just going to take this off, close this out so we can see what's going on. And the goat is gonna goat. Now, we're probably gonna die to the goat because that's what the goat does, but you can see the goat is dead. Now, what I should have done was, in a real world, is I should have let the goat jump, move away, let the goat jump again, move away, let the goat jump again, move away, but that's not fun. We want to save some time. Let the goat do the goat, let the damage do the damage, let the goat die, nothing drop, move, go next. So, now that we've seen what Shattershard is, let's talk about it and where it came from and what happened. So, like I had mentioned, I was playing Eviscerate. I loved Eviscerate. I thought it was really good, but I wanted something more proactive. So I started perusing Reddit, and I came across this, and it talked about Shattershard. Now, I didn't know much about Shattershard. I didn't understand what it was, and I started reading this, and I started looking at this, and Shattershard is what gave me the idea when playing the Eviscerate build to use the Monastery Bell as part of the combination for Eviscerate. That's where that tech came from, reading these Reddit threads on Shattershard. So I'm talking to my friend the Lazy Exile, and we're kind of brainstorming. I'm talking to Twitch chat, we're kind of brainstorming. I'm just looking for a direction where to go. And Twitch chat was just like, why don't you try Shattershard? And I was just like, yeah, we've done so much reading on it, why not? So I pull up the Reddit thread, I pull up another Reddit thread, I start reading about Shattershard, I go on POE Ninja, I start looking at different Shattershard builds and what's going on. And a buddy of mine, Adeline, had recommended to check out a Twitch streamer by the name of Shiaxu. Shiaxu's been working on it. He's playing it. From my understanding, he's recording a video about it. He's been, as of the recording today, yesterday, he's working on a build guide for it. And he's just been going completely crazy, bringing this to levels up and beyond. So I said to Adeline and Twitch, I said, do you have his profile? Do you have his POB? Can we take a look at what it looks like? And they send me his profile and his POB, and we start taking a look at it. And it's got all kinds of megalomaniacs, primordial bonds, jewels, and he's got some insane tech going on here. He's got an onslaught, arcane surge ring, and you know, you just start going through it and looking at it. So I said, the hell with it. Let's start with copying Shiaxu. Let's put it together and let's see what happens. So this is where we're at. Now, Shattershard, like I had mentioned, is the shield, and the shield triggers level 20 shield shatter when you block. Now, I didn't know that was a thing until, like I said, I started doing some research. Shield shatter says that your shield shatters, dealing physical spell damage to enemies in an area based on the quality of your shield. Okay, more quality, good, quality, good. You'll be unable to block. You'll gain no defenses from your shield, but your spells will deal added physical damage. Not bad. Buff grants 15 to 23 added spell physical damage per 1% shield quality. Actually insane. So you can see all the stats on it. It's completely bonkers. That means any support gems in the shield will work with the shield shatter. So we have cruelty for more damage, awaken cold pen because we're converting everything to cold, and awaken control destruction because just hit them harder. And then you see we have a 20 quality shield. Now my first thought was like, where does this shield come from? And I found out that it comes from Heist. And it's like impossible to get it with like more quality. And the shield at the time of recording while looking in game is like super cheap. You don't care about any of the stats on the shield. You only care about the trigger level 20 shield charge. Now there is a way. Now we can look up 21 quality here and we can hit search, and there are literally none because it comes out of Heist and it is like impossible to get quality on this thing. It's rare, it can happen. So Heist runners, if you see the shield shatter shield. Okay. Now, shield shatter triggers when we block. That's the tricky part because we are not block capped by any means in this build. We actually cheat the trigger by using the Monastery Bell. The Monastery Bell says counts as blocking attack damage from the first target hit with each shield attack. So as you saw in the last map, as I shield charge around, every time my shield charge hits an enemy, it triggers shield shatter. Chance to block is unlucky. We don't even block. We don't have a shield. Attack speed is really nice. Now for the Monastery Bell, I did get an increased area of effect. I did get Fortify. think like that tech from Shiaksu. I think it was really good. You know, more Fortify, more resistance, or more survivability, more area effect, more explosion. Pretty good. And it increases the size of our shield charge to be pretty, like our shield charge is pretty large, and with buffs and stuff from being Elementalist, it gets relatively larger. So you need the Monastery Bell. You don't care what's on the Monastery Bell. You would like a faster attack speed Monastery Bell, but you get what you get. The Monastery Bell at the same time at the time of recording is like literally 1 chaos. So you're looking at a 5 chaos shield and a 1 chaos weapon, and you're giga blasting. Now, of course, the corrupts are going to be a little bit more. Of course. Inside of a Monastery Bell, we have LE weakness, frost blink, and bone shield support. Now, what's really cool about this build is stacking golems, which you can see up top, and it does have a whole lot of different heralds that you'll see and we'll talk about. So let's start with the golem package. First and foremost, we're going to take the Dark Monarch. It says the maximum number of summoned golems is doubled, cannot have minions other than summoned golems, plus 1 level of all minion skill gems. We get this one nicely rolled with 100% the maximum energy shield, so we get a lot of energy shield and a little bit of chaos resistance, and we're thrilled out of our minds. We want to double the number of golems that we have, and we want to make sure that we have golems up all the time, as often as possible, so we have the maximum amount of buffs that we get from the golems. This way, if one dies, the second one's alive. Now in our helmet, we have Petrified Blood, we have Arrogant Support, we have Enlighten, and then we have Summon Carrying Golem of the Hordes. This one's really nice because this one just attacks with a series of slashes. This one is just a really big damaging dealing golem, and you can see we actually have 6 of them, which is really nice. Now we have Petrified Blood to keep us alive, and that's the helmet. Because we're using golems, it looks like a bunch of people are using the Primordial chain. I actually kind of like this a lot because it gives us more golems. And while they do less damage and have less life, we get more golems. Our golems have more movement speed, and they're able to stay alive and keep up with us while we're shield charging all around, and the buffs stay on top of us, which is really nice. I was able to pick up one of these with maximum resistances on it for like super cheap. It's ridiculous. There's all kinds of different corruptions that you can get on this thing. And then we put Spiritual Aid, so increases the reductions to minions. Damage also affects us. So it's a really nice amulet to pick up. Now, alongside everything, we are going to be using a wide variety of other gear. We talked about Headhunter. Headhunter, you know, speaks for itself. When you kill a rare monster, you gain modifier for 60 seconds. There are other variations of Headhunter. You can get it with Culling Strike. You can get it with more Soul Eater. Soul Eater would probably actually make this build insane on bosses. You swap out the belts for Soul Eater and it'd be completely crazy. And then our body armor, our gloves, and our boots, they're just armor energy shield bases. It might even be better to get a full energy shield base, but it's debatable because of how we have gear fractured. Now, before we get into the rare gear, let's look at the Lost Unity Formless Ring. This ring grants us level 30 Herald of the Hive skill. Now, I did not know what the hell Herald of the Hive was. I had no idea. I know a lot of people have been talking about it, but Herald of the Hive says grants a buff which causes you to deal more damage for each Herald skill affecting you. While you have this buff, the skill turns the space around you into a tear in reality, releasing pulses that damages enemy around you. Inflicting ailments causes you to gain otherworldly pressure, and you gain a whole bunch of damage based upon how many heralds that you have. And you'll see that we have, you know, Herald of Ash, Herald of Purity, Herald of the Hive, and then we just like scale our buffs and scale our golems to the moon, and we get a whole lot of damage from the Lost Unity plus golems. And it's just a really cool ring. Now, moving on over, we do have our chest plate. I do have the chest plate fractured with additional physical damage reduction. And then we try to go for triple tier 1 mods, both for armor and energy shield in the prefixes alongside of the chosen modifier to avoid ailments. Now, I'm not sure if choosing to avoid ailments is better than triple tier 1 energy shield. There's a world where you eventually use Storm Shroud instead and move the tree around versus avoid ailments. But pretty much I just reforge defense on this body armor until I hit in armor and energy shield rolls that were I was happy with. I tailored orbit for increased defenses and resistances. I then lock prefix, reforge, exalted chaos. Couldn't remember the name of the thing. Or yeah, not exalted chaos. What are veiled chaos? Veiled chaos. They're called veiled chaos. Until I got chance to avoid elements. I then lock prefixes, reforged again for resistance, got a resistance, and then harvest crafted for the resistance that I need, and crafted on energy shield per second while rare unique enemies nearby, so that we're constantly regaining energy shield. The prefixes are the implicits, physical damage taken from hits as lightning, and increased effect buffs of your golems. This way we can reduce our physical damage taken hit into something else. Now our gloves are really cool. The reason why this build is expensive, well, one of the reasons is these gloves. These gloves are so friggin' expensive. I should have bought them fractured for like 50 divs. I missed 15 fractures or 14 fractures trying to get the fracture. What I would do was I would buy I-86 base paladin gloves, and then I would buy temple modded gloves of any tier, and then I would try to recom the temple mod onto the paladin gloves, get them on the paladin gloves, attempt to fracture the paladin gloves, miss, move the mod onto more paladin gloves, miss, and start all over. And it was a pain in the ass. It was. Once I did that, I essenced on the socketed gems have more attack and cast speed until accuracy rating, which actually wasn't too bad. I then locked suffixes, reforged, and I hit physical damage to cold, which is really nice. I then tried to slam on life. I missed. I hit lightning damage to attacks. I crafted on life. I said, the hell with it. I'll fix it later. My implicits, you do need physical damage converted to cold at least 30%. So you have to tick this up. I mean, you could, in theory, like do 25% or 30% on this and 25 and kind of mess around and do all kinds of stuff. But, you know, it's whatever. And you want to have ignites you inflict spread to other enemies because we're going to be playing with huge explosions. We're going to make everything ignite because we're elementalists. We want our explosions to scale all around the screen, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing with using Elementalist. Now, our gloves, because we have the socketed gems, have more attack and cast speed. We are going to be using shield charge. We are going to be using inspiration. We are going to be using faster attacks, and we are going to be using momentum so that we can fly all around the map. And then lastly, our boots are going to be doing the same thing. I picked up a pair of fractured movement speed boots for absolutely super cheap. I then essence them until I hit tier 1 increased armor and energy shield, which was really nice. I managed to hit a resistance alongside of it. I was pretty thrilled. And then I crafted on life, called it a good day. On our boots, and this is one of the things I was talking about earlier, it's probably going to be better off to do it with Storm Shroud at the end of the day because it was such a pain in the ass to hit chance to avoid elements is perfect. It was the biggest pain in the ass. There's probably a world where you actually just do avoid shock and you scale up the avoid shock and then put on Storm Shroud to be better. But we have while unique enemies in your presence. Oh, I got to change that. That's the wrong one. You want to make it buffs granted by your carrying golems. That's completely the wrong one. I ran out of money. I got to fix that. Holy. Yeah, I got to fix that to regular, not well unique enemies in your presence. But that's okay. It'll be updated in the POE down below. I'll fix it as soon as I'm done recording. Not a problem. Everything will be updated in the POE. Our boots have Hatred, Herald of Ash, Herald of Purity, and Determination. That's I'm so glad I started recording. That's such a rookie mistake. It's such a rookie mistake. You can do, you can do any buffs from any of the golems that you want. You could do action speed. There's a lot of really good options that you can get in the suffixes of the boots, but I'm definitely going to change that to not while unique enemy is present. Now, moving on over to our Atlas tree. Because we are elementalists and because we want to take advantage of Foulborn Barracks Respite, I know I didn't talk about this ring, give me a second. We want to take Shaper of Flames, Shaper of Storms, and then we're going to pair it with the ring because elementalist. If you can afford this ring, it is really nice. Ignite enemies you kill explode, dealing a whole bunch of damage everywhere. Absolutely beautiful ring. If you can't afford the ring because the ring is out of budget, don't worry about it. The build still works without the ring. You can just copy the ascendancies, and instead of doing Shaper of Storm, Shaper of Flames, you just go this way and don't worry about the Forbidden Flesh and Flame. You don't actually need it. It's just extra. We also take Legion of the Primordial, so they get more maximum golems, and we get buff effect from our golems. And we take Bringer of Runes, so we have mana reservation of our Herald skills. Now, I do have a Forbidden Flesh and Flame for Heart of Destruction. When I bought this, it was very cheap. It is no longer very cheap. This is just bigger AoE area and more damage. You do not need it. It is just extra. Now, our tree is a little interesting. I have a billion Herald tattoos, and I'm able to tattoo every single node because we have an Elegant Hubris for Caspiro to ignore attribute requirements. The Herald effect tattoos are nice. Get them when you can get them. They're a little over a divine each. They just give you more damage. We also have Chance to Blind here, which is really nice so that we can blind all of our enemies. We take Pain Attunement because we're on low life for more spell damage. We get a bunch of life and energy shield nodes here. We have a Balance of Terror, which is why we have the LE weakness so that we gain more physical damage as random element to scale our shield shatter even further. Moving on up over here, we take Winter's Embrace so that we have 30% increased damage if you shatter an enemy recently because we shatter everything and everything gets shielded and frozen, everything explodes. We have a Cold Mastery, so enemies permanently take 5% increased damage for each second they've been frozen, up to 50. Everything freezes, everything explodes. Mana reservation here. Written in Blood for maximum life and energy shield. And then we have 30% of chaos damage does not bypass your energy shield so that we can make sure that we don't immediately just die to chaos damage. We have a large cluster here for Primordial Bond and Renewal with for life and resistances. Now, the reason we only care about Primordial Bond because it gives us 10% increased damage per summon golem. We have a whole lot of golems, so we have a whole lot of damage. And then we have a medium Megalomaniac here for Assert Dominance and Uncompromising. We have to take Uncompromising somewhere so that we have the Determination mana reservation to make the, the mana cost of Determination a lot lower. You can just get a Megalo with one mod and it being Uncompromising and be fine. I think the Uncompromising and Assert Dominance ones are relatively on the cheaper side. They're like a Divine or 75 Chaos, so you should be able to pick them up, in theory, relatively cheaply. And then we have another cluster over here, and this one's Force Multiplier Rote Reinforcements. Rote Reinforcements I've used in the past, and I think is absolutely insane. It says 20% chance to gain an Endurance Charge when you block, which I think is great. And we're always blocking because of Shield Charge because of Monastery Bell. And then over here, I have Force Multiplier for double damage. Now, I picked up this one with Rot Resistance. If I do ever manage to level, I would probably pick this up as well, but you really don't need it. I do really like the Rote Reinforcement Force Multiplier combo. There's a couple of them on trade. But if anything, just Rote Reinforcements. So you could probably actually just get like Uncompromising Rote Reinforcements or some nature of the few. Moving on over, we take the Cold Mastery up here for 40% Fizz converted to cold. This plus our gloves gives us 100% Fizz converted to cold. And then we have this for 50% more cold damage. Down here, we have mana reservation, so a 20% increased life reservation efficiency of skills. We have Presage for just more damage and Herald effect. We have Distorn for more damage and more Heralds. And then we come over here for just a Prismatic Jewel for RMR or 2% mana reservation and cold damage. This wasn't too expensive when I bought it. It was like 3 divs. There's only a couple on trade right now at the time of recording. But you can actually buy these Light of Meanings uncorrupted for cold damage for 30C, and you could buy them really quick off Merchant and just slam them with Veiled Orbs until you get mana reservation on it. It shouldn't, in theory, be too difficult. Cruel Preparation for just life resistances and cold damage. Arcane Sanctuary for just more damage and everything going on. And then we come over to another large cluster jewel for Primordial Bond and Renewal. Same kind of concept as the one over here, just we only care about Primordial Bond. Moving over to our medium socket, we have Assert Dominance, Towering Threat. Towering Threat, area of effect, more life. Assert Dominance, more area of effect if we kill an enemy. This is how these two medium clusters are exactly the same. This is how we get that huge AoE, and they're pretty nice. They're not actually too expensive. Assert Dominance, Towering Threat is more or less on the cheaper side. They're like 290 chaos each. And the Primordial Bond Renewal ones, you have to make sure that they don't have a third notable on them, because you don't want the third notable. You want to get as fast as possible to the jewel sockets. So they vary. I picked up mine for like a divine each. Moving on over here, we have Purity of Flesh, and we have 50% increased maximum life. There's no life modifiers on our chest plate. We have no life modifiers. Sovereignty, because we want RMR and all the good stuff. And then the Elegant Hubris for just Caspiro. Now, I copied Shiatsu. I managed to find 91,400, and this one gains us a Frenzy Charge on hit. If you can't find the Frenzy Charge on hit here, who cares? You don't need it. You can always put it here for an extra skill point, but the thing that we care about the most is Supreme Ostentation, which I actually have a point there that I forgot to unspec. We only care about Supreme Ostentation because it just gives us the ability to not care about attribute requirements. Supreme Ostentation comes from the Elegant Hubris saying, commemorate Caspiro. Very important. Commemorate Caspiro. Any other guys, it will not work, so make sure that you click Commemorate Caspiro. Moving down over here, Divine Shield. We cannot recover Energy Shield to above armor. We have a whole ton of armor. We have 14,000 armor. We have 3,000 Energy Shield. And this pretty much just says 3% of physical damage prevented is gained as Energy Shield. So it's just a nice little defensive layer. And then down here, we have another 8 passive Primordial Bond Renewal. And then, you know, same thing, Assert Dominance, Towering Threat for just more area of effect. Now, these two last jewel sockets here, I have Forbidden Flesh and Flame, Heart of Destruction. These are expensive, like I had mentioned. When I bought them, they were relatively on the cheaper side. You do not need them. They are just extra. You can get any node if you want. It's 66 divs for this side right now and 10 divs for the other side. Like I said, it was a lot cheaper when I bought it. What you could always do too is if you have a Foulborn Barracks or Spite and you say only have the shock side, what you can do is you can take this off, Path to Heart of Destruction, Forbidden Flesh and Flame, Shaper of Storms. Or you could just nix the whole Heart of Destruction, make your boots ailment immune via shock, put in a storm shot, and they get another juice or jewel to fill in your slot there. So you have options you can mess around with. But overall, that's pretty much the build. I know Shiatsu's working on some crazy variations. I'm going to give a link down below for his stuff so you guys can keep up with what he's got going on. I'm going to keep playing around with this. It's been a lot of fun. Oh, graphs really quick. Just chance to freeze, projectile speed, and then projectile damage, chance to freeze. I just took freeze graphs like a lot of these other guys have just to make sure everything gets frozen. You know, as my buddy Chronic would say, the best defense is the best freeze fence. But that's pretty much the whole build, everything that's going on. I like it a lot. I think it's a lot of fun to play. I think it's really good. I'm actually, after I'm finished recording this now, I'm going to use this build to go do the rest of my challenges for the league, and we'll see where we go from there. But if you have any questions at all, feel free to stop by the live stream, the Discord, leave a comment down below. Be more than happy to try to help, or if you have any ideas to take this build to the next level, I'm always happy to hear it. But for now, friends, I'm going to say that to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.